Welcome back to the Outlaw Ranch. Well, now that I have that shock placement kind of figured out, I thought I would try to get these link mounts here kind of dialed in also. First step is I want those brackets that come onto this lower part of the cradle here figured out. My neighbor stopped by, I think it was last week sometime. He had a really good idea. My lower link mount tabs look like this, and they have this little piece that comes down here kind of like for decoration. He had suggested cutting that off so that it was nice and straight all the way across, kind of like what I've done to this one here. I just removed this little piece here and made it flat through here. Now there is just a little bit of a bump here. I'll come in with a grinder and kind of flatten that out. But the reason for that is once we get these two pieces, on either side of that tubing, kind of like this so that they're spaced, 2 inches apart or whatever. His idea was to come in and then plate the bottom of this to add some further strength, side to side. And I thought that was a great idea. So I took my little Porta-Band that I have here, the framing square, drew a line straight across here, then with the Porta-Band come in and cut that off as best I can, and then I'll finish it up with the flat disc on the grinder. But I think I need to get some of these links kind of figured out on these axles. That would at least locate the axles, fore and aft and everything, so that once I kind of get these shock mounts and everything kind of dialed in, they're not going to move. They're not going to fall on me anymore, which has been kind of a huge forethought on my mind because they've fallen several times now. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to try and work on these mounts and get them exact from side to side. So stand by, folks. We got some more work to do. Okay, as you can see, I got all 4 of those little nubbins there cut off. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run a 1-inch bolt through both sides and tip it upright, and then I'm going to run that flap disc grinder and make this all the same as best I can. So that'll be the next step. Stand by, we'll get some more work done. All right, y'all. So I ran my big 1-inch bolts in here. Used a bunch of washers just so I wasn't tightening that nut down so far. And then put my 90-degree magnets on here to make sure I was going nice and flat. And that's about as flat and straight as they probably need to be. So I think that's going to work. So the next thing I'm going to do is undo all this and come to the top side here where it's going to weld to the cradle here. And I'm going to bevel them at, 45-ish degrees. And see if I can't get a couple of them tacked up into place and see where that goes from here. So that'll be the next step. So stand by, folks. We got some more work to do. All right, y'all. So what I've done here is I put a piece of 2-inch square tubing in between the 2 lower link mounts that go onto the cradle. What I did notice is that since my tubing is 2-inch, that means the center of it should be at 1 inch. And when I measure this, you can see it comes out right there at 1.5 inches. So I was a 1/2 inch too deep. The next thing I went and did was I just cut some square tubing here. It's the same 2-inch 120 wall square stock, and I cut them a 1/2 inch thick here. So now I will slide these in somehow into this tubing here, and I will use those as spacers. Then what I'll do is I'll jack this piece up right up underneath onto this cradle. And with those spacers, that should ensure that it comes in exactly in the center of that tube, front to back. So that's the plan. We'll get one side up into place. I will check to see if the other side, if there's a way I can measure it, to keep them exactly the same. But that's the idea. You'll notice these two bolts here are different size. This is the actual 1-inch bolt, and this is just a little 3/4 inch bolt. Unfortunately, I was buying those can cut drill bits, and this is the 1-inch can cut drill bit, and you can see that tip of that thing is smoked. And somebody will probably say, well, gosh, what was your drill press speed at? Well, here it is. So I'm on the top pulley here, and I'm on the third one down there. So if I go the top and the third one down, so I'm only spinning that bit at 300 RPM. So that shouldn't have been too fast. I don't know why it burned like that. I was using WD-40 as like a cutting oil. Maybe that was wrong. Maybe that's where I screwed up. I don't know. But I'm not a big fan of those can cut drill bits. So stand by, folks. Let's see if we can't get this lower mount up into place. All right. I got these lower link mounts lifted up here into place. It actually looks like it should come up a hair more. So those 1/2-inch spacers that I just cut may not be the answer. I might need to trim them down a little bit, say another 1/8 of an inch or so. Not real sure, but so far I'm not really liking how that's lining up. Here's the new problem that I just now noticed. Came to the front of the truck and was kind of eyeballing straight down what I thought was that frame rail. And I think that cradle is twisted a little bit. Sure looks like it there on the jack with the link mounts. It looks like it's, kicked out that way just a little bit there. So when I came over to this side, I thought I would look, and it actually looks like maybe the back end of that is kicked in. So I don't think my cradle here is square underneath the truck, this way. That's what it looks like. Not a big deal, I don't think. I think I can straighten that out. I'm not real sure how to yet, so that's something I might have to stew on a little bit. The other thing that's kind of getting me here is right in here. I kind of want this to be touching this tubing here, and it's a little low. So I think I want that to come up just a little bit more on both sides here. So I'm going to do a little stewing on that, do a little thinking about it. As always, I appreciate each and every one of y'all for watching this video. I am very, very grateful to each and every one of you guys and the new subscribers that I've gotten here recently. Thank you so much. I'm very appreciative. As always, like, share, comment, subscribe. If you guys have some ideas, please drop them in the comment section. I will check it out. I'm just not quite sure how to answer this one just yet. So I'm going to have to do a little thinking on this. But until next time, I really appreciate it, and we'll catch y'all in the next one.